Because these are official court proceedings, you must adhere to and abide by professional courtroom decorum. That means no smoking, no eating, no drinking, no driving, no lying in bed. Can't be at the dentist's office, can't be at the doctor's office, can't be walking through the park or through the parking lot. Please find some place where you're comfortable. Be seated and be still.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Judge Kendra Barrie. I'm the judge for 10. This is the last of the trial calendar, last case on the trial calendar. But this is the matter of Lomax versus Calhoun. We have both parties present. Mr. Webb, your client is with you, I see. Mr. Calhoun, are you with us?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, it's just you're looking the other way, so I just want to make sure you're present with us. And then Mr. Gillespie, I see you as well. Okay, so it looks like we have everybody with us. Also on the call, the three other calls, that's my staff. All right, are there any preliminary matters we need to take up before we get started?
Your Honor, I have had an opportunity to speak to defense counsel. We have 6 exhibits that we're going to introduce during the course of the trial. He has agreed to those 6 exhibits with no objections, and he also has exhibits that I've had a chance to review, and we have no objections to those exhibits as well.
All right, that's good. That's come to on those. All right. Let's go ahead and start with openings. I'm still trying to get it open, but we're going to get started. Let's start with openings.
May it please the court. Your Honor, my name is Charles Webb, and I represent Virginia Lomax in this particular divorce action. My client was married to Mr. Richard Calhoun, Jr., the defendant in this case, on August the 18th of 2018. They were married in the state of Mississippi, and after they got married in the state of Mississippi, they moved back here to Georgia and lived here in Georgia until they were separated in June of 2020. In this divorce, my client has several grounds based on the marriage being irretrievably broken, cruel treatment, and because of the defendant's impotency. In this particular case, my client is requesting that she is able to maintain her residence, which she had prior to their marriage. She is also requesting her attorney's fees to be paid, and she is also requesting that there were monies that were in their joint account, that she's requesting half of those monies to be returned to her at the conclusion of this matter.
Okay, let me write it down one more time. You said the marital home, which you said was hers prior to the marriage?
Yes, Your Honor. The marital home, which is located at 031.
Okay, and what were the other items requested?
And she's requesting her attorney's fees in the amount of $7,000.
Okay.
And there was a joint account that the parties had during the course of their marriage. And in 2020, the defendant took out $17,000 out of that joint account. And my client is requesting half of those funds from that joint account, which was roughly $7,500.
Okay.
Those are the issues, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Gillespie.
Thanks, Your Honor. We certainly object to paying her attorney's fees, and we are prepared to show this court that plaintiff has, in fact, withdrawn substantial amounts of funds, not only from the joint account while this divorce has been pending, but also from Mr. Calhoun's personal account that was not a joint account. And for that reason, we certainly object to the splitting of any funds from the joint account and object to the attorney's fees. And as far as the joint account is concerned, the plaintiff did not contribute funds to that joint account, so we certainly object to on that basis as well.
All right. And the marital home?
Judge, Great question. So as far as the marital home, certainly we recognize that it was hers before the marriage, and she's certainly entitled to it. The request for the attorney's fees and half the funds out of the joint account, honestly, we do find to be repugnant, and we know we're entitled to half the equity that the home grew during the time of the marriage. We never asked for it. We're not seeking it, but we certainly think that is because of that we're doubly entitled not to have to pay for her attorney's fees, and certainly not to share any funds out of the joint account to which she had never contributed.
So I'm not quite sure what you're asking for.
The short answer is no. We're not objecting to her keeping that home, and because we are not seeking any of the appreciation in equity during the time of the marriage, we want you to consider that as a reason why plaintiff would not be entitled to attorney's fees and or any disbursement from. It's hard for me to call it a joint account, Judge, when only defendant was putting funds into it. But we're because we're not seeking any of the equity in that home, we want you to consider that as a reason why she would not be entitled to any disbursement from any funds from him as a result of funds that are in the joint account.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you know Richard Calhoun Jr.?
I was married to him. We met online on a website, Black People Meets. As a matter of fact, that was in July of 2016. We started talking on the phone, and we met, I think, in August of 2016 for the first time, and we just started communicating after that, and we got to know each other, and we ended up getting married.
All right. So after you communicated online and you met him, at what point did you, or was there a time when he came and lived with you?
Yes, it was August of 2017. His contract with AT&T was about to expire, and his lease where he was living at Peachtree Corners, that was about to be renewed. But since he didn't have a job, I told him, I said, well, if we're going to be together, then why not just move on in with me? And so he agreed. But at the time when he lost his job, it's like he didn't have any income coming in.
All right. So he moved in with you at your home that you owned?
Yes.
And did you own that home prior to the marriage in this particular case?
Yes, I bought my home in 2011.
So you bought the home in 2011. He came and moved in with you in 2017?
Yeah.
All right. At what point did you all get married?
We got married. We got married August 18th of 2018.
Right. And where did you get married?
Got married in Flora, Mississippi.
In Flora, Mississippi.
Yes.
Is that your hometown?
Yes.
All right. Who paid for the wedding? How much did you pay for the wedding?
Little over $8,000.
And you paid for the wedding of $8,000. Did he contribute anything to that?
Not toward the wedding.
Okay. Now, after the wedding in Flora, Mississippi, did you all move back to Georgia?
Yes, we came. Well, we were living in Georgia, but the ceremony just took place in Florida. But after that, we got married on a Saturday. We came back to Georgia that Monday on the 18th, on the 20th of August.
All right. So when you came back to Georgia, he lived with you in your home?
Yes.
Okay. How long did Mr. Calhoun live with you at that property?
He was there from August of 2017, and he moved out, he moved back in, he moved out, he moved back in. And the final day that he was there was December 9th of 2022.
Okay, so let's go back. You say he moved in. Did he move out?
Yes.
What was the reason for him moving out?
Because we had a spat where I told him, I said, you're not helping me. Why are you here? Why are you here? And plus, he was giving a lot of his time to his ex-wife and their daughter, where they were playing things and do things together, and I'm sitting at home. I told him, I said, that's not right. I said, we're married, we are as one. So why are you still keeping company with your ex-wife? But you will actually set dates with your daughter. You all will go out to dinner. You don't invite me. We will sit here at this house all day. Neither one of us has eaten. You will plan a dinner date with your daughter and just get up and walk out the house. And you all will go to Olive Garden, eat. You don't even think about me. So it was like neglect. And I just got tired of it. So he left.
All right. And when you say that you got tired of it, at some point you filed for divorce previously, is that correct?
Yes.
And do you recall when you filed for divorce previously?
It was less than a year after we had got married. We got married in August. So I think I filed for the divorce in March or April of 19.
Okay. And after you filed for the divorce, what, if anything, happened after you filed for the divorce?
He became sick. He ended up with bladder cancer. So I was like, it's not right. I can't just throw you away being sick, because my vows say in sickness and in health. So I was trying to honor my vows. I stayed with him. I went to his doctor's appointments, went to his treatments and stuff. But it's like his whole demeanor changed when he was sick. It's like things got better. He treated me better. He talked better. But once all of that was over with, he went into remission. Things were back the way it was. He yelled at me. He neglected me. There was no intimacy. We barely talked to one another in the house. We walked around almost like roommates, but roommates at least pay, something to it. Excuse me, something to the house. But that was not the case. So we just went back to that again.
So you say that he didn't pay. He didn't pay anything towards rent or anything like that?
No.
How long did that go on?
That went on up until, I think it was August of 20, because I had taken on a second job. Then I was teaching my grandkids. I would come home. I would go to work on my regular job, Saturday, Sunday, Monday nights. I would come home Tuesday morning, go to my daughter's house, stay out there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evening. I would come back home because his doctor's appointments was on Friday mornings. I would come home Thursday nights and go with him to his appointments and his treatments and stuff like that. And then Saturday, I was back at work again. So I was, at least he had the house to himself during that time from January until August, when school started back for the kids. They went to public school then.
Now, you stated earlier that you all did not have sex. Did you have sex at any point during the course of your marriage?
No.
So for the entire marriage, you did not have sex with your husband?
Not.
I'm sorry, you said
never. He always told me the reason why there was no intimacy because I was being disrespectful. And I asked him, I said, okay, well, what do you mean, me being disrespectful? Tell me, what is it that I'm doing wrong? He couldn't tell me. So it's like I say, if I've done something wrong, and if you can't tell me what it is that I've done wrong to correct it, then what do I supposed to do? It was always a disrespectful thing coming from him saying that's the reason why there's no intimacy there. So he said, well, what you need to do, because I have these in text messages. He texted me and told me, he said, what it is, what you need to do. I feel like you like your television shows more than you want to spend time with me. He said, what you need to do is turn your TV off at night when I get ready to come to bed, and then things will be better. Okay, I did that for several days and weeks. So what he would do, he would walk down the hallway, go to the bathroom, past the bedroom, to see if I'm asleep. And if he don't hear anything or see the TV on, he would ease into the bedroom, get undressed and get in the bed. I wouldn't know he's there until late up through the night. If I'm turning over and I would touch his leg and I said, now, you know what? This don't make any kind of sense. Then to say, well, what you need to do, well, just try coming into the living room, putting your head in my lap and, maybe we can do something. I was like, you know what? That don't even make sense. None whatsoever. It's like he wanted to use that as a psychological thing to make me say like I'm crazy as far as him telling me I'm being disrespectful. But if you can't tell me what it is that I'm doing to be disrespectful, how do I supposed to correct it? So I just got tired of that conversation being disrespectful. I just forgot. I just said, just forget it. And it's like, that's when the marriage just went all the way downhill.
Did you try to get counseling?
Yes. We had one counseling session. And when we got there, he told so many lies. And I told him, I said, what his problem is, he wanted to control me. I had to do what he said, the way he said it, and, when he said it. And if I didn't do that, things wasn't going to work out. So even the counselor told him, Mr. Calhoun, you can't control her. You're trying to control her by telling her what she can and can't do. So I just walked out of that session.
Tell the court what type of thing.
I'm sorry. Can I back up for a sec? I just want to make sure I understood it. You're saying not on your wedding night. You're saying not ever have you had sex with your husband.
Well, we did before we got married. One time. After that, because it's like we actually went through counseling with the pastor a full day, 8 hours, a month before. Was it a month before? No. A week before we got married. We went to marriage counseling with him. This was before the wedding. We went with him and he said, well, brother Richard and Sister Lomax, Sister Virginia, you all cannot have sex, prior to the marriage. Well, we know that we had stopped that whole month before we got married. But after that, the night of the wedding, nothing. He told me, well, we were, and even his friends that came to the wedding, we was going to stay in Mississippi, go to Vicksburg, look at some of the sites there, and and just spend a week down there and then come back home. He met with his friend that Sunday morning. We had breakfast with them at the hotel. After that, we packed up and we were back to Georgia. And nothing happened since then.
Was there any discussion of medical issues or anything else? Or are you just saying that there was just these other excuses? Did you ever talk about it?
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
He said, was there any discussion about medical issues?
No, he didn't say anything about that. Nothing. It was just me being disrespectful.
So when you are claiming in your complaint about impotency, when did you?
One more time, I apologize. It looks like my power is low. Give me 1 quick second, please.
The last question was, during the time before the marriage, was there ever any discussion about any medical issues that Mr. Calhoun had?
No.
When did you learn that he was impotent?
Last year. Was it last year when I went through paperwork? It was the early part of last year.
Prior to us filing the second divorce, is that correct?
It was after.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize that document? Is that the complaint for the divorce in this case?
Yes.
Is this the particular divorce where you allege the grounds for your divorce in the complaint?
Yes.
We would tender plaintiff's exhibit number 1 into evidence.
All right. Plaintiff's number 1. All right. Is that just that service or something else?
Is the entire complaint, Your Honor.
That is your entire complaint. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So a minute.
In the complaint, you indicated that the marriage is irretrievably broken, and you also indicated that there was acts of violence towards you during the marriage. Could you tell the court what those were?
Can you stop sharing?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Could you tell the court what the acts of violence were towards you?
We had a discussion. It started out as a conversation. It turned into a big discussion that wasn't going well for him, because some of the things I was saying, he didn't want to hear it. So he started yelling and screaming at me like I was a child. And I walked away from him. And he came back up to me telling me that you don't walk away from me when I'm talking to you. You're going to do what I say. I said, look, I'm not your child. You're not going to talk to me like that. And I'm not going to even stand here and listen to it. So he got into my personal space. I bagged up and he came back again and he headbutted me. When he headbutted me, I just pushed him away. And I told him, I said, look, let me tell you something. My mom didn't have it in punching bags. You're not going to hit me. And this yelling and stuff, that's what you do to a child. I don't yell at you. You're not going to yell at me. You're talking about disrespectful. That's been very disrespectful. Because of what I say to you, you don't want to hear it and you don't like it. That's fine. I've listened to a lot of stuff that you have had to say and didn't like it, but I didn't put my hands on you. So that's one. And then the other is like the balance. I feel like being neglected, that's a form of balance to me, because here it is, we're living up under the same roof. We don't go places together. We don't do anything together. We used to, before we got married, we used to go to the movies. We used to go out to dinner, but we even just go riding. We didn't do any of that. We barely had a conversation at home. He would actually sit up in the living room with the TV on, his computer in front of him on a little table. He'll watch TV, computer. I sit in a bedroom and watch TV. Because when I come into the front, if I have something that I want to ask him or say to him, I'll just easily just walk into the room quietly and I'll just sit on the couch opposite him. And I'll just tell him, I need to ask you something, or I need to say something. And then he'll just lay there as though I'm not even talking to him. So I just sit there and eventually he'll turn and we'll start up a conversation. And most of the conversations that we had, I always ask him, I said, look, this is not working for us. I said, we don't even talk to one another. We don't do anything. We don't go anywhere. It's like, I'm this trophy of yours that you have won. You set me on this little pedestal, on this little stand. You don't dust me. You don't move me. You don't do anything. I said, why are you here? I said, because you know what? This is not a marriage. I've been married before, and it has never been what I've gone through with Richard. I told him, I said, why did you marry me if this is the way things was going to be?
So you divorced, or you filed for divorce the first time, and you voluntarily dismissed that divorce. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the reason why you divorced him the first time was, could you tell the group?
Was practically the same reason now, because it was the same way. We got married. We didn't do anything the first year. What I did, I planned a trip for us to go to Myrtle Beach with my daughter and his, my son-in-law and his family. They rented out a whole resort there. I said, you know what? I asked him, I said, well, can you take out this time? We can go to Myrtle Beach. I don't know if I can take off. I said, well, I've already paid for the trip. He said, well, let me see. So we went. But it was still he in the TV or in the room, and I'm with the rest of the family. We went to eat while we were there, because it was like a show from him to everybody that everything was okay with us. But I'm still trying to make this marriage work. but I couldn't do it by myself. It takes two people to make something work, and it just wasn't doing it.
Do you believe that you did everything humanly possible to make this marriage work?
Yes, I did.
Now, what, if anything, did Mr. Calhoun tell you about getting your divorce?
Oh, now I said, look, I want, I've asked you several times, about a divorce. I've asked you. And the last time that I asked him was September of 2022. He told me, you know what? Because I was in tears because I was like, I'm tired of going through this. I want my divorce. He said, well, I give you your divorce. I said, okay. He said, well, just go on and pay for it. I said, I can't pay for it. I can't do it. I've done that before. I just don't have the money. He said, well, you don't have the money? I said, no, I don't. I do not have it. I said, because you know what? I spent enough money on you. I said, I tried the first time. I spent, the money that I spent then.
How much did you spend the first time?
I spent $3,500 for my divorce the first time. And then I told him, I said, when you got sick, I had that rescinded. And I stayed with you because the vow said in sickness and in health, you got sick. As a matter of fact, when his cancer started, he started bleeding. I was in Mississippi with my aunt. We was driving back to her house. He called me. I said, what is it? He said, I done started bleeding again. And I just said, golly. I said, look, let me tell you something. Because he wasn't living in the house at that particular time. He had left. He was at a pad split where he rented this room out. I told him, I said, well, I tell you what, just get your stuff and just go back to the house. I said, I'm not at home right now. I'm in Mississippi. I said, what I do, I just leave tomorrow, coming back. So I came back, but he didn't come back to the house. What he did, he got a hotel room. He stayed in a hotel somewhere near Peachtree Corners, but it was somewhere in Gwinnett, where it was closer to the hospital that he was going to. I said, because I can't throw you away when you're down. I said, because that's not right. And I came back home. I went and got him supplies that he needed for the bleeding. So my daughter went with me. It was raining that night. We went out to the hotel. I took him Pampers and stuff to wear, so he won't soil his clothes while he's going to and from the doctor. And his doctor's appointment came. I went with him. But it's like, that was like the old person that I first met. Everything was good. The conversation was good. His tone to me was good because he was in need. When he's needed, anything you want, you can get it. But once that need has been met and he's back on his feet, it was back at the same thing again. So.
And then you filed for divorce the second time.
Yes.
And that was as a result of?
The same thing. Neglect, being verbally abused. It's just a complication of a lot of stuff,
During the marriage, did you at some point find out that Mr. Calhoun was watching pornography?
Yes. We both have iPads. I bought him the iPad that he has. It was a black iPad. I knew the passcode to get into the iPad. So he would leave it. If he left it at the house, I could see what he's been doing on his iPad. So I saw where he was watching porn. I said, I don't understand. I said, now I'm here. Why is he watching pornography? But we're not having sex. So I'm like, I even went to the point of asking him, do you watch pornography? No. I said, okay. So what I did, I said, okay. Now, I asked him, and he told me no. So what I did, I took his iPad, and I took my phone, and I took pictures of the pictures that he was watching on his iPad with pornography. I did that, and I kept them in my phone, and that's why I told you. I said, he's sitting there watching pornography. And one day he was at home. I have a 3-bedroom home. One of the bedrooms was set up for his office while he was working from home. It was a bed in there. So he was lying in the bed, but the door was closed before going in there. The door was closed. He was laying in the bed. So I just walked there, just pushed the door open. And I startled him. But he was masturbating in the bedroom, on the bed. Then he would tell me, I said, what are you doing? He said, nothing. I said, mm-mm. I said, what are you doing? He said, come here. I said, what? He said, come here. Give me a kiss. I said, I said, what were you doing? And he just didn't answer. I said, now that's sad. I said, it is so sad. You were sick. You were masturbate. You were watch pornography. And I'm your wife, but you won't even touch me. I said, that's bad. So.
Now, you're asking the court in this particular divorce about your attorney's fees. How much total that you paid for attorney fees from the beginning up until now?
I know with the attorney fees, I paid $7,000 in attorney fees.
And you're asking the court to grant you those attorney fees, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, also, you're asking the court to give you funds that were in your joint account. Explain to the court how you all did your finances in your marriage.
Okay. When we started out, there was 2 bank accounts. One ended in 8650 and the other one ended in 9814. So with that being said, the 9814 was the savings account. The 8650 was the checking account. Now, with the finances, I would pay the utility bills. I was paying them out of my own personal accounts up until August of 2020. This is when I came home that Thursday night, and it was raining. I said, oh, when I pulled up to the house, I didn't see his truck in the driveway. I said, oh, good, he's not at the house. I can go home now. I can rest. I said, he's not there. I can be at peace. So when I hit the garage, the door opener, I saw his truck in the garage. I said, oh, no. I said, this is not going to work. I said, he's got to move his truck. I said, because when I had the garage redone, because it was the manual one where you had to go out and lift it up and pull it back down, I changed it over to an electric one. So when the man came out to actually give me a quote, do the measuring and stuff, I had gotten off work that morning in the shower. He was sitting right there in that room. There's a window right at the front door, bedroom, right at the front door. You can see somebody walking down the sidewalk. This man ringing the doorbell. He's sitting right there, would not answer the door. Ringing the doorbell. I had to come out of the bathroom in my robe, answer the door. I told him, I said, just hold on, I'll be there in a minute. Went out there, he did the measure and everything. We were talking, and then Rich stood up, and he just took his key fob and just turned on the thing that make the truck go, blah, 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 just beeping. And so the man looked back, I looked back. He said, well, you know what? I'm gonna let you go handle that. So when I get in the house, I asked him, I said, did you need something? He said, no. I said, well, why did you do that? What are y'all out there talking about? I said, well, you know what? This man was at the door, ringing the doorbell. You wouldn't even get up and go and open the door. You wouldn't open the door for him. But now that the garage door is up, you want to park your truck in the garage? No. So I told him, I said, you need to move your truck out. I said, that's why I had the garage redone so I can park my truck in my garage like that. So he wouldn't do it. I said, well, you know what? I got a set of keys to your truck. I'll move it myself. So I moved his truck out, put mine in, and I told him, I said, let me tell you something. I said, as next week, I said, everything in this house is going to be turned off because I'm not paying another bill here. I'm not paying not one more bill here. I said, you here living in this house like you the king of all kings. You're not paying anything. You go out, you eat, you don't buy food here. I take peanut butter and crackers to work for lunch. I said, that's what I take. You will go out, you will buy food to eat. You eat it while you're out there. By the time you come home, you take the trash from the food that you have eaten and you bring it in the house and put it in the garbage can in the house. But you don't call me and ask me, I'm going to stop by and pick up something to eat. Do you want anything? You don't do that. I said, so, that's not right. Then you will text me but let me know that you're going to meet with your daughter. No, you're going to go back and check on your daughter. I asked you, I said, she okay? Yeah, she's fine. We're going out to dinner. But I'm at home. I hadn't eaten. You don't ask me, well, I'm gonna come by and pick you up, or would you like to meet us there? You don't do that. But if I'm out coming home and I'm knowing you at the house, I will call you, ask you if you have eaten. And if you tell me no, I will ask you, well, I'll stop by. I'm gonna stop by and pick up something. Would you like me to pick up you something to eat? You'll ask me, you'll tell me yes, and I ask you, what do you want? You tell me. If that's not something that I want to eat, I'm going to get what I want and go by to get what you said you want to eat, and I bring it home. That's the opposite of us. He doesn't do that. It's like I cared about him and eating, making sure he got something to eat. I would cook dinner at home. He would have already eaten.
Let me go back. You had started on the finances, and then you went to something else. You said you paid utilities out of your personal account up until August of 2020.
Yes.
Okay, and then you have to tell me about the checking account 8650 and the savings 9814. How those accounts work in your home.
Okay, the 9814 monies were deposited by me from an accident that my daughter had in my 2008 Ford Focus. When she totaled that car out, Liberty Mutual sent me a refund check. Whatever the check is that they send you when your car is totaled out. They sent me that check. I deposited that check into the 9814.
What was the amount?
I can't remember. I know it was a little bit over $3,000. They sent that. I deposited that check into that account. And I told Rich, I said, well, Liberty Mutual is sending me a check for, this amount for the car that Bree totaled out. He said, okay, well, we need to start saving. You need to put that in the bank. I said, okay. So I did that. That was the year when I think his daughter was graduating from high school, and her mom wanted to have parties and stuff for her for getting out of school and then her graduation later. So he had told me, well, what we're going to do with these accounts, we're not going to ever make any withdrawals from any account over $200 unless we speak, talk about it with one another. I said, okay. So what I did, I looked and I saw where for this party that she was doing for their daughter, he had taken out over $600 at one time. Didn't say anything to me. Then he went back and he took out, I think it was about $800. I said, oh no. I said, that's more than $200 both times. So I called him and I asked, I said, what is all this money for that you're taking out of the account? He said, oh, that's to help out with this party thing that Ilka wanted to do for India's graduation.
When you say Ilka, who is Ilka?
That's his ex-wife, his daughter's mom. So, but now when he obviously, the two of them had discussed it prior to this, because he told me that she was planning something, but he said, I don't think, we need to be doing all of that, because that's just too much. We can at least wait until the graduation and then do it. But this was after she got out of high school, before the graduation, and then something else after the graduation.
All right, so let's go to the account.
Okay.
So you contributed to the accounts that you all had together.
Yes.
And what accounts were those?
That was the savings account, the 9814, and I also have in my bank ledger where I also deposit $300 into Bank of America in the 8650.
So from these accounts, you said that he took out $17,000.
Mm-hmm.
When did he do that?
He did. Well, that was from the 9814 account. That 17, because I told him, I said, you sit around here. I said, you telling me you don't have any money to help out here. I said, there's over $17,000 in the 9814. And he just looked at me like, how do you know that? And I didn't say anything. So he closed out, he took the money out of the 9814, the $17,000, and he opened up the 3730 account. And that account became his own personal account.
I'm sorry, what?
Explain it to the court how the funds were taken from one account to the next.
Okay. There was two accounts originally. The checking ended in 8650.
I have that. And the savings in 9014. What happened to the money?
Okay. He opened up a new account that ended in 3730. That account was opened up by taking the money out of the 9814 and put into the 3730. So that deleted that joint account for both of us, that savings account. And that became
when did that happen?
That was, Jesus Christ. Let me look.
From your own memory.
Okay. 21 or 22. And 20.
I'm sorry?
And 2020.
You think the money was moved in 2020?
Yes, ma'am. Where the 3730 was opened up.
What was the 9814 closed at that point?
That closed it out. When he when he withdrew the money out of when he withdrew the $17,000 out of the 9814, that closed out that account, and that opened up the 3730, the one that I had no access to.
Okay. Now, with regard, you said that he pays nothing in the home. I just want to make sure that I understand what you mean by nothing. So you're saying he doesn't pay, he never gave funds towards the rent or the light bill or the water bill, the cable bill, your cell phone bills. How were those paid?
Now, he later did that when I told him that I wasn't going to pay another bill here because he was there all the time and I wasn't. I spent the night in my house.
Okay,
ma'am,
let's just go. Let me get to the numbers. Okay.
Okay.
What were you paying, and what time period were you paying all of these bills, and when it was that Mr. Calhoun started paying bills, and what bills were they? Okay.
I was paying all of the bills from 2017 up until, I'm gonna say 2019. And I think it was 2020, but I'm gonna say 2019. And then it was in August of 2020, when he started then helping with the utility bills. When I told that's paying the light bill, water bill, and the internet bill. Those were the only bills. And that wasn't all the time, it was sometimes.
Okay, and when he was paying the light bill, water bill, internet, what were you paying?
Ooh, I was paying the taxes, the insurance, my truck note. I was paying my student loan, my life insurance. I was putting.
No, what I meant was of just individual marital bills. Like, I'm trying to the rent. Were you paying the rent or the?
No, my house was paid in full.
Oh, okay. So there isn't a note that was being paid.
No, there's no mortgage, no rent.
Okay. So in August of 2020, he started paying the utility bill, light bill, water bill, and the internet. And the other bills you had to pay was like your life insurance bill, taxes on the house. What about the insurance for the cars? Who paid that?
He paid the automobile, the car insurance.
All right. And so he paid that from 2020 until when?
What is this? February this year. I renewed February this year.
When you filed for divorce, he stopped paying these.
Well, we paid him up for the year. We paid if the car insurance, if there was a 12-month on 6 months. 6 months on the car insurance, it was paid up for those 6 months.
The car insurance, he paid your car insurance and his?
Yes. It was all on one account.
But the light bill, the water bill, the internet, when was he still paying those until February?
No, I started paying those.
Okay, ma'am.
I said,
When did you?
okay, this what it is. There was no monetary access from him from last year. I started paying all of my bills myself as of January of this year.
So that I can break this down for the court.
Okay.
At what point did he start paying bills in the home?
He started in 20, but it wasn't consecutively. It was every now and then.
And when you say every now and then, which bills would he pay every now and then?
Maybe the light, the internet, because in order to work from home, we had to have the internet. So he paid that bill. But the gas, the water was every other month. I would pay that, or I would pay them all. You know, it's like I would go online and find the bills and I go on and pay them.
What bills were he paying?
Internet and water.
Those are two bills that he were paying.
Yes.
And during that period of time, what bills were you paying?
I was paying for the. Now there was
What bills were you paying? I need you to break.
Okay, I was paying for the remodeling of the bathrooms, which was $350. I was paying the light bill, the gas bill, the water bill every now and then. I was paying those utilities, but all the other stuff, insurance, stuff like that, that's it. Those utilities and stuff at the house.
Now, during this particular divorce, the insurance on the vehicles was canceled. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
And who was it canceled by?
It was canceled for non-payment on his part.
So when there was a non-payment for the insurance, how did the insurance get paid?
I had to pay it.
And you paid it out of your own funds. Now,
Hold on for a second. Mr. Gillespie, are you talking to me?
You and Mr. Webb. Frankly, I don't know how to do it. The chatting feature, but I think a brief bench conference could make a lot of this very efficient for you.
Okay. That's kind of odd. Regarding.
We certainly heard a lot of testimony and facts, and I think there's an opportunity for some judicial economy here if we had a brief bench conference.
Okay,
we don't need one. I'm not insisting on it. Just offering it.
Are you saying there's some things you think you and your client are agreeing on that's going to make things move faster?
I think so.
Okay. What's your position, Mr. Webb? He wants to have a breach conference. He thinks there are some issues that you all can agree on that makes it move faster.
we would agree to a bench conference. I can send my client out to the conference room so that we could have a conversation.
Okay. Okay, do that. Ms. Marshall, can you put us in a breakout room? We're just waiting for you in this session. You were still in breakout room.
Yep.
You're on mute. But okay, but we're about to get started. Mr. Webb, let's go ahead and talk about some of the financial numbers.
Okay. Ms. Lomax, during the course of your marriage, what type of work do you do?
I'm a nurse.
And you were a nurse at the time when you filed this divorce.
Yes.
We had previously admitted or presented exhibit number 2 to the court, which is your domestic relations financial affidavit. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And are those your numbers that you submitted for your financial affidavit? We would tender plaintiff's exhibit number 2 into evidence.
You have any objection?
Objection.
All right, so admitted.
All right. So in your domestic relations financial affidavit, you indicated that you were making $26.88 monthly. Is that correct?
At the time, that was happening. Yes.
Okay.
20. I'm
And-
sorry. 20. What was the monthly amount?
20. I'm sorry. According to the domestic relations financial affidavit, the monthly amount is for expense Is this your gross?
No, the gross income.
2688.
Okay.
And
Do you have that for on to share online, or is that a physical copy you're looking at?
I'm looking at a physical copy, Your Honor,
Oh.
but I have submitted. I'm sorry.
You submitted it, like you filed it, or you put it in a Dropbox for this hearing?
I sent him to Ms. Marshall
Okay,
this
Ms.
morning.
Marshall, forward that to me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And were there any additional things done to your property that would have increased your value of your marital home?
Yes.
What was done?
I had a deck put on the back. I had a shed built. The driveway was there, and the fence.
Okay. And that fence, was that a new fence that you had completed?
Yes.
Now,
You said the driveway was there and the fence, or the driveway and fence there before the marriage or after the marriage?
The driveway was expanded.
During the marriage.
Yes.
and why was that?
So Richard can have his car moved off the street because it was a one-car driveway. So it was expanded so he can park his car off the street in the driveway.
Okay. And then you said a fence was put up?
Yes, a privacy fence.
All right. And a deck.
Yes. And I had a shed put in the back.
And those items that you had done to your property, what was the cost of the driveway, if you know?
I don't know.
What was the cost of the fence?
The fence, I think it was $2,500.
And then what was the cost of the deck?
The deck was $5,000.
Were there any other monies that you all had during that course of your marriage that the court should consider in a distribution?
No.
Okay. Now, exhibit number 3, which is the domestic relations financial affidavit of the defendant, Richard Calhoun, his gross monthly income, do you know what it was?
No, I never knew what his income was.
All right. I'm showing you what's marked as plaintiff's number 3. Is that the domestic relations financial affidavit that we received in this case?
Yes, it is.
Right. And was that the one that was filed by your husband?
Yes.
Right. I would tender plaintiff's exhibit number 3 into evidence.
No objection.
So admitted.
Looking at the gross monthly income of Mr. Calhoun, what was his gross monthly income?
$6,153.60.
Okay. Now, in his affidavit, he indicated that he had $14,000 in cash, and he says, my savings. Is that part of the money that was in your account that was closed?
Yes.
Now, the Bank of America account that says 14,000, that's another 14,000. Is that correct?
That's what it says there.
Okay. Now, from 2018 to 2020, were there any bills being paid by Richard Calhoun while he lived in your property? From the time that you got married to 2020 that you testified earlier, was there any bills being paid by Mr. Calhoun?
Yeah.
What were they?
The light bill, maybe alternate the light bill, the water bill, gas bill, or internet.
Plaintiff's exhibit number 4. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes.
Are those photographs fair and accurate representations of the furniture and the items that you took while you were in your marriage?
Yeah.
I would tender plaintiff's exhibit number 4 into evidence.
No objection.
So admitted.
Great. Let's look at plaintiff's number 4. The first photograph, which is, could you tell the court what that is?
That's I think a 42-inch Hisense television that he owns.
Okay. Since the filing of the divorce, has he gotten that from the home?
No.
Okay, so that's still there?
Yes.
All right. The second photograph.
These are some of his clothings and books and CDs or whatever that belongs to him is still at the house.
And I see that they're folded neatly. Is this the way that he left them, or is this the way that you made them?
I fold them.
Okay. Now the next photograph.
This is a bike that he had before we met that is still at my house now.
Next photo.
These are shoes that belongs to him, and books and book bag and whatnot that belongs to him. They're still at my house.
And you said they're still at your home. So he's been gone from the home how long?
Over a year.
And it was still there?
Yes.
All right. Now showing you these, and brace your eyes. Are those 2 photographs? What are they?
These are the pornography pictures in the website that he was watching during the time of our marriage.
And then the last 2.
These are pillows that he said that belonged to his mom and he wanted to keep. They're still at my house. And this is the 5-piece dinette set that he had prior to the marriage that's still at my house.
Now, I'm sorry, plaintiff's exhibit number 5. Could you tell us what that is?
This is his medical records from the cardiovascular group that I found in his paperwork where I was cleaning up at the house.
And those medical records, are those the medical records that you were able to determine that he was impotent?
Yes.
Sorry, what is that?
The medical records for Mr. Calhoun that talked about his impotency and that they're dated prior to the marriage, that she found his belongings.
Where?
At my house. Well, they were at my house. I was cleaning up in the garage in one of the bins, and I went through there and I saw that there.
Okay.
And number 6.
Bank statements. Yes.
Are those the bank statements for you and Mr. Calhoun during the course of the marriage?
Yes. Also his individual account, the 3730.
Are these a fair and accurate representation of the accounts that you all had during your marriage?
Yes.
Now, there are some documents of insurance in here. Can you explain?
Hello?
I'll just admit it. I will move to admit exhibit number 5 and 6 into evidence.
All right. 5 and
And
6.
I'm so sorry. Once again, remind me, was that everything we just went over, all the photos?
Yes. And
There's something about the insurance papers?
the insurance papers are included in the financial documents in exhibit number 6.
Okay.
No objection.
All right. So admitted.
All right. This is a part of exhibit number 6. Could you tell the court what that account number was?
Account number ending in 9814.
And what was the amount taken from that account on November the 5th of 2020?
It was transferred to account 3730, $17,560.
Ms. Calhoun, I'm sorry, Ms. Lomax, is there anything more that you would like the court to know about this particular marriage to Mr. Calhoun that we have not discussed already?
that as of August last year, I have been asking for my keys to the house, my key fob back, my garage door opener back. August of last year, I locked myself out of the house and I called him and asked him if he would just come by and just open the door and let me in because I had locked myself out. I couldn't get in. I had a stomach virus. And instead of him answering the phone and calling me back, he texted me back and told me that he wasn't available, that if I should get Angela Adam, which is my daughter, my son-in-law, to come by, if they, maybe they have a spare key to let me in the house. So they didn't have a key to the house. He had keys that I had been requesting for months to get back. I had to call a locksmith to unlock the door to let me in the house. But that following day, I found out he actually sent money to his $1,000 to his ex-wife. For what, I don't know. But I'm locked outside. I will call him sometimes and he won't answer. Or like the day when he came to have his truck removed. I think that was June 2nd or 4th or something like that of last year. I asked for my keys that day. He told me, leave the guys alone, let them do what they're doing. And I thought, I'm not disturbing them. I just want my keys and give you your keys. And he just hung up the phone in my face. So it's like, even when I try communicating with him, there's nothing. He won't answer. He'll hang up the phone in my face. So I just stopped it and I just left it alone. He also, when it came to the home, when we got married, he wanted me to sell the house that we have to buy another one. And he told me it will be on the right that he pays for it. But I learned my lesson the hard way because he had given me the 2013 Terrain. When he got mad at me, he took it back. So that's when I got my own vehicle. And when I asked him about helping me with any repairs around the house.
Terrain, the vehicle that he was trying to go back and get?
Yes, he had left his vehicle parked in the driveway.
The Terrain or something else?
The Terrain, the GMC Terrain, the 2013.
Was that the vehicle he drove, or that was the vehicle he gave you and took back?
Yeah, that's the vehicle he gave me and took back. Okay,
that's not the vehicle he normally drove.
No, he had a 20-something M30 Infinity. He had an Infinity.
Okay.
But the vehicle that he gave to you during the marriage, he took it back.
He took it back. So I got tired of that back and forth. And I just told him, you know what, I got to get my own. This one I got to worry about. Nothing being taken away from me. So when I asked him about helping with any repairs at the house, he told me everything here needs to be in both our names. He said, this is your house. You put my name on the deed, then I help you. So, no, I'm not doing that. And I told him when it comes to the utilities, you just can't add somebody's name to a utility bill. You have to call, because when I had service put in, I called, they ran my credit, and that was whether I had to pay a deposit or not. So
okay, so with regard to the other bills, he did not put his name on. You've already gone over that. Anything new?
No.
So there's nothing else that the court needs to be made aware of before the other attorney has a right to cross-examine you.
Now we had the bathrooms redone, both the bathrooms, because somehow he knocked a hole in the tub in the master bathroom. And instead of the water going out the drain, it was going under the tub and coming out on the floor. So I told him, I said, you need to stop using that bathroom until we get it fixed. But he didn't. So when I called bath fitters.
How much did it cost you to fix it?
It was, I'm going to say $13,000.
And who's paying that note?
Oh, it's paid off.
Who paid it?
We both did. But in the end, he told me, since I had my truck note to pay by myself, I had my student loan and all my credit cards and all my other bills, he would pay. He would take up the $350 for the bathrooms and pay that off. So that's where the $350 was coming out of the account.
Okay.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Gillespie.
Thanks, Judge. Very, very briefly on cross. Ms. Lomax, just wanted to confirm I heard your testimony properly. Did you say you did in fact have sex on the night of your marriage?
No, we did not.
Okay. Shortly before?
Yes.
Shortly after?
No.
Okay. Did you contribute money to the joint checking account?
Which account are you talking about?
How many joint checking accounts were there?
There was 2.
8650.
Yes.
Okay. How much did you contribute to that account?
It was
I believe
$300.
total. Total.
Okay. It was a breakup. What were you saying? Finish your
Sorry,
sentence.
the total amount that you contributed to that joint checking account was $300?
Yes, to that checking account.
Understood. Thank you. At one point during the marriage, the roof required repair. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying $600 for that?
No.
Okay. There was one time during the marriage that there was a car purchased. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying $5,000 for the down payment of that car?
No.
Okay. There's one point during the marriage where the driveway had to be expanded. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying $2,400 towards that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember you were just testifying about the new enclosed fence? Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying $3,000 for that?
I remember him doing it. I don't know how much he paid.
Fair enough. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun contributing towards the property taxes?
No.
Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying for groceries, electric, gas, all of which were the utilities that were under your name?
Groceries? No.
As for the others?
Intermittently?
No, just generally.
Intermittently?
Just answering it.
Intermittently. Sorry, understood.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. You mentioned the purchase of the deck. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying $2,000 for that?
No.
Okay. Do you recall him contributing towards the deck?
No.
Okay. Do you remember Mr. Calhoun paying for the bedroom set,
No.
bedroom suite, or the alarm system?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And as far as the wedding expenses were concerned, do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying for the facility and the insurance and your wedding dress?
Wait a minute. Say it again.
When you got married, do you remember that?
Remember what?
Getting married?
Okay. I remember getting married, but what did you say he contributed to?
The facility, the venue where the wedding occurred?
No.
Okay. Do you recall him paying for the insurance for the wedding event?
No.
Do you recall him paying for your wedding dress?
No. I did that.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Did you have sex with anyone other than Mr. Calhoun during the term of your marriage?
No.
You mentioned that your attorney's fees were $7,000. Does that include the first time when you rescinded the divorce action?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned it was $3,500 each time?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned that there was a time when you were locked out and you needed Mr. Calhoun's assistance. Was he in town at that time, or was he traveling for work?
I don't know. I didn't see him. I just called.
Okay, very good. Bear with me 1 second, just double check my notes. Do you recall Mr. Calhoun paying for the toilet that needed replacement in the amount of $1,000?
Vaguely, but not really.
Okay, very good. No further questions for this witness, Judge.
All right, any redirect, Mr. Webb?
When the $3,500 that you paid the first time, was there a reason why you withdrew the petition the last time?
Yes, because
I already answered that.
Okay. That's fine. Well, we have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right.
I would just call my next witness, Judge.
Okay.
You heard Ms. Lomax's testimony earlier. Did you ever headbutt her?
I would say, I think I did headbutt her. She was not allowing me to get away from her, and I pushed her back. Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And let's see, we'll go through some of these. Did you pay $600 to repair the roof?
Yes, there was a leak around the skylight, and she's familiar with that. Yes, I paid for that. That's just one of the things that I paid for.
Sure. On that vein, which bills and utilities did you pay for with regard to the marital home?
Most of the bills that were in her name, she had supplemental monies that were moved from the joint account to her account so she could pay those particular bills. And that would be the gas, the water, the light. Me living in the house and the house paid for, I just felt that there was an obligation for me to, on one end, to save, but on the other end, to provide as much as we can, because her salary is a little bit different than my salary.
Understood. And did you make a down payment for the car for one of her cars?
Yes, and I do have the receipt on that. I've always been supportive of down payments, supplementing the taxes, or any other initiatives that she might need money for, because the items that were discussed, the money is just not there because she doesn't have that much of a salary to support that.
Gotcha. So is it fair to say that you paid for all of the utilities for the house?
We started off sharing some of those particular but at some point I did take over all of them. And the issue with me never paying, once we started, I have always paid money, and that has nothing to do with me working or not. I've always paid bills and supported the household.
Gotcha. And the amount that you paid for her car for the down payment was $5,000?
$5,000, yes.
And
What
did you
what car? The one that she claims she took back, or the one she
No.
has?
No, this was a previous car that she had that she wanted to purchase.
What
This has not. It was an older car, Sentra or some car. I can't remember the particular model of the car, but she went out and looked for that particular car, and I provided the down payment for that.
What car?
A previous car that she had.
Before the terrain, after the terrain?
Before the terrain. Before the terrain.
Before the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Gave her $5,000 for a car. What did she do with that car?
That car got traded in for another car that she bought.
Which is what?
I think the current car she has now.
So in the car, in the yard, y'all had the older model car and the terrain sitting in the yard.
Correct.
Plus your car.
Right.
And all of that fit in the yard?
Well, the thing is I had an Infiniti, and then I had the terrain, and then she had her car. And then I gave my son my car. So it's only three cars. Cars.
But the car that she had was the older model car that you paid for.
Yes, at one point, because that car failed and she had to get another car.
Okay. What year did you give her the $5,000?
I have the receipt somewhere, Judge. I would say 2022-ish, maybe 2021-ish, somewhere around there, somewhere around 2021, possibly. But I can put my hands on that receipt.
What was she driving before that?
A Ford car. And that car was an older car, and it was getting old. So she went through a series of cars. She went through the car that I did the down payment on, and then she came to come with that RAV4, the car she has currently now.
So what happened to the GMC Terrain?
The GMC Terrain, when I came back into town, I worked for a SBA alongside with FEMA, and so I'm out long. When I came back, just tell you, Your Honor, the car was keyed up. It hadn't been started, and that engine failed on it. I came back to that car. All my clothes were thrown in it, and it was keyed up. I have pictures of it. And when I tried to start that car,
let me start. Maybe my question wasn't clear.
Okay.
So, what made her come out of the GMC Terrain? If your position was that you bought her the other car,
no, that has all. I'm sorry. That has always been my car.
Oh, okay.
That has never been her car.
You never gave her that car?
Absolutely not. That's my car that I take to work every day. That's not a car. She's on the insurance to drive it anytime, because I wanted to make sure that she had that ability to drive it to protect us. But that car is my car. That's been paid off for years.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So the amount you paid for that car for her was for the down payment was $5,000.
Yes.
And did you pay $2,400 for the expansion of the driveway?
Yes, I paid that in full.
Okay.
And that was to get the cars to have a little bit room for the cars.
And did you pay for the enclosed fence for the property?
I paid for the fence too, got the contractor, and then there was a few cost overruns, but I was able to make sure that I got that done as well.
Okay, and that was roughly $3,000.
Yes, at the end of it.
And you did assist with the payment of the property taxes as well?
Not a split of the property taxes. When she made sure that she paid the property taxes, and she didn't want to have me to ever pay the property tax, so she made sure she paid it. But when she needed supplemental money, it was there, and I provided that for her. Sometimes $600, sometimes $300, those types of things.
And how about for the deck? Tell me what the story was with the payment up for the deck.
The deck, she paid for most of the deck, most of it, but in making sure that that deck was sound and there was no problems, supplemental money was given to the contractor to make sure that it was more sturdy and that kind of thing, that I provided for that.
And that was in the neighborhood of $2,600 that you contributed?
No, it wasn't that much. No, it was more like $500.
Okay. And did you pay for the bedroom suite?
I paid for 2/3 of the bedroom suite. I called American Signature the other day, and they said it was about pretty close to $6,000, and I paid something like 4 of it.
Okay.
And she put the rest on the card.
And you paid for alarm system for the home?
Yes, I paid totally for the alarm system. That was somewhere around $3,000.
And there's ongoing service charges with regard to that alarm system. Is that right?
Yes, and I'm still paying that. That's $66 a month.
And you'd like to, once this divorce is finalized, you'd like to stop making those payments. Is that right?
Correct.
And what would you like to see happen with regard to the alarm system?
Well, the alarm system can be taken out according to the rules, and I can have that at my new location that I'm at. But they have to remove it. But most.
What alarm company is that?
Vivint, Vivint. It's yeah.
Okay. That's the first I'm hearing that they'll come get something.
No, they'll come and get the wiring and those types of things out of it, and they can put it in a new. That's what was one of their selling points.
And when you got married,
and remember, the thing is they do that because if you move to another house, they'll move that system to that new house.
All right, that's just my personal experiences. I've never seen anybody get your old stuff. Most of the time, they was really. But that's all right. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Calhoun, did you help pay for your wedding in any way?
Yes, I paid. I'm thinking as she was telling me, discussing it because it's been a while, but she had 2 dresses. She needed money for one. I gave her money for one, and she didn't like that. She wanted the money for the second dress. We sat down and discussed making sure we had no liabilities on the facility. I got the insurance, paid for the that and the food. I had the obligation to do that because she doesn't have as much resources as I do. And so all of these things that I'm hearing, that it's like, where did this money come from? Because I was just free to do it. Now I'm a stickler for saving, so I'm going to be tough on saving versus doing particular things, and that's where some of the conflicts come in. And just for the record, I just want to say I had love for her. I loved her, and this is a sad situation, but I just wanted everybody to know that I loved her. This cancer situation with me has been a tough one. And when they have to go up into your urethra and get to that cancer and do that, I don't think you're going to be making too much sex with that. And so I do appreciate her support of me during the times that she supported me. But of course, when you're going through that, you don't really think that person is supporting you as much. I went under anesthesiology without her. I had mentioned that I had another checkup, and I had to go get an outside firm to come and support me in that. I was at that hotel that she mentioned because I had to get close to that because every few hours I might could not urinate and had to go and get that blockage removed. And so she came one
Can
time.
you go back and tell me the year of the cancer?
Let's see, 2022, 2022, maybe 2020, something like that, around that. I've been in kind of remission for about 3 years now. So somewhere around 2020.
Okay.
That's
And,
what I remember. And so I had to move closer to there to go to drive myself to the emergency room when I couldn't urinate. So
of course. Did you ever try marriage counseling?
yeah, we tried marriage counseling, and in that marriage counseling, the counselors generally try to figure out what the problem is on both sides. I was accepting things that I'm stubborn and those types of things. But when she got to her side and told her that she was basically vindictive, she could not take that. And so she didn't even tell the lady that she wasn't coming back to the session. I showed up to the second session and she was nowhere to be found. She just, so what's coming across the first time I left was because she told me she had sex with some other guy. Now I'm sitting up here dealing with my medical issues, and I said, no, that is not acceptable. I'm out of here. When she came over to the pad split place to talk with me, she said she had gone through a counseling session herself and that we should try again. And I said, okay, we can try again. And that's when, around the time that the pandemic was happening. So that's the issue. But I was fully engaged in supporting as much as I can the household, and my net worth was put into this house, literally tens of thousands of dollars into this house. And I didn't ask for anything to be put. Initially, when we got together, I said we could do something like that by putting my name on it. But once she did not want to do that, I didn't really care about that. I wanted to support whatever's going on in the house to be able to fix that. And that is done through the bedroom sets, the expansion of the driveway, supplementing for down payments, doing all of those particular types of things to support the household. Now, it's never enough. In my view with Virginia, it was never enough money. It was never enough for me to, because I want to save too. So I'm a fiscal kind of guy. So I want to save too. But if you look at those accounts, every one of those accounts, you would see thousands of dollars going toward her subtracting those monies and putting them in her account. And that's blind. I don't know where that money is going. It's just a deposit that's being taken out and where it is. I said, why? What's going on? What are you using the money for? And so it looks like maybe that money was used to pay off the household renovations as a part of it. Maybe some of that.
How much money you saying you blindly put into the account? What were you saying? I'm confused.
Judge, I'll get into that in a second. I can go through them in a little bit of detail. But just to finish this other line of questioning before we do that, you're talking about the marriage counseling. So I just want to be clear, you paid for the marriage counseling, and did she show up and attend in good faith?
The first meeting, yes, I did pay for both sessions. One session we came together. The second session, she didn't show up, but I still had to pay for that session too. Okay,
understood. And that she didn't show up, but you had to pay for it anyway.
Yes,
understood. All right. So so now going into the accounts, there's basically two major accounts that are at issue, is my understanding. One was a joint checking account to which Ms. Lomax contributed $300 during the marriage, and presumably you contributed, your salary went directly into that?
Yes.
Okay, and you also had your own savings account separate from that, is that correct?
Actually, the first one was a joint account, and then even I think we had a second account as well. And it's been a while, but I had the checking account, and then yes, I had my own saving account. So when I put the money into the joint account, I would siphon money over into the savings account as well.
Okay.
Okay, so money into the account ending in 981 in 86450 for her to pay the bills from?
What generally happened for her to pay the bills is that she could go in and subtract, get money out of that particular account and put it in her personal account to pay the bills.
Yes, and how much did you put in that account for her to pay the bills with?
Almost all my check. The whole check went in there. I didn't separate my direct deposit went directly into that joint account.
So what was the parameters for the account? You're saying that she just chose to pay the bills when she
No, I had money in there for her to pay the bills because they're not in my name; they're in her name.
So I guess I'm trying to make sense of her testimony with yours as well. And her position is that you were not paying the bills, but your position is that you told her to take whatever funds she needed out of this account.
Oh, absolutely, and that's what happened. And then it got out of control when I'm out of town and trying to do what I have to do. When I look up and there's thousands of dollars missing.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'm going to show you an exhibit. Can you see what I've got on the screen here?
I can see it.
You see it, and Mr. Calhoun, you see what's on the screen here?
Yes.
What is it that we're looking at here?
This is a joint account because it has both of our names on it.
Okay, this is the joint checking account.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so and what is the time frame here?
It looks like 2021, 2023, and this one goes down to 3/17/2023.
So we're looking at roughly February to March of 2023. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this monthly statement, you're able to see all the deposits and withdrawals. Is that right?
Right. And so I'm deployed on a disaster, and I wanted to be transparent. So anything that I ate in the field is on that card. So I used that particular card. So you see Naples, Florida, that's where I was deployed with FEMA. And so as you go down, you can look and see. I want to make sure, because I get per diem and all that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that I don't hide anything. That's just how I am.
So around this time period, you're stationed in Naples, Florida. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can tell that based on where it says Naples, Florida during this time period.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking at this withdrawal here on February 21st. It says $450 was withdrawn in Decatur, Georgia. Was that you making this withdrawal here that I'm trying to highlight? Or
no, because that's not me, because I would have had to been in Decatur to do that withdrawal. That's her withdrawal. So she went to the Bank of America ATM and took out $450.
Gotcha. And have you gone through all of these statements and found all these various withdrawals from the account?
Yes, I did do that analysis.
Okay, very good. And if I were to share it with you, would you recognize it?
Yes.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate representation of that analysis that you performed on this Bank of America joint checking account?
Yep. And this is from 2/21/23 to 6/6/23. I pulled from each one of the statements on there and I cross-referenced back. So if you go down to the bottom at that spreadsheet, all of those are the individual statements that I pulled from.
Gotcha. Understood.
So
and is this first line item, is this the one we were just looking at a moment ago?
That's the first one I pulled up. So I highlighted that on that statement and then put it on the summary page here.
All right. So what are you testifying right now that during the period of February 21st of 2023 to June of 2023, while this divorce action was taking place, he withdrew $4,900 from the joint checking account?
That's correct.
All right. And did you do that same type of analysis for your own personal savings account?
Yes, I believe I did. If we have that.
Let's see if I can figure out how to do this.
Now this is my personal, this is the account that's with my name on it only. And this is a Bank of America account. But what I saw here was if you know my account number and the routing number, you can put that on a website for the insurance, Amica Insurance, and you can draw that money out. and I know exactly when it happened. When we were doing our negotiations, counsel asked for us for my account. You directed me to give the account. I give that particular personal account to them, and then later, because this is 8/18/2023 now, and this is 11, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is pretty recent. And all of those particular transactions were done by web transactions, Wells Fargo card.
And her name
I,
was listed as part of
do you
being the
see the
one.
web? Do you see at the web at the end of it? They want you to know that it's a web transaction. $1,400 web. Now that is against, I don't know if it's against the law, but you can't go into anybody's account and take money out like that. And that's $7,000 right there.
So she was able to get this information just through discovery, and then once she had it, she was able to make withdrawals out of your personal savings account.
That's correct.
And
Then
she withdrew
I got you.
$300 out of your own savings account. Once
Right.
she had that information.
It was directed toward these particular bills. I'm not sure what Wells Fargo card is. I'm not sure if it's the renovations. It could have been the renovations. I'm not sure what the Set World Omni is, but all of those were done on the web. If you get the routing numbers and that, you can put it in, and they will take it out.
And in fact, it put her name next to each of many of these entries. Is
Right.
that right?
That's right.
Right.
Now look at this $600 one is me. So you remember that's me. So that's why I was saying you can subtract the 600 on that, these two, because it's got my name on it. So I don't know what world Omni is. That could be me. So you subtract the 300, that's the 600, the 1,200 from that, and then that's the new number. I think I sent that to you because I did an analysis of it.
Got it. And would that amount be the 6,000?
That's the one. That's the one. Yes.
Got it. Understood. These are the I guess all of the transactions related to this.
Every one of the transactions.
I see. And you went through and just called them for efficiency for this spreadsheet here.
Yes. But if you go through any one of these statements, you will see that Georgia Power is paid. All of these different transactions are paid by me. Thousands of dollars. And so
we would see that in the joint checking account savings.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Let's see
that's
here.
Right.
I'd like to collectively submit these spreadsheets into evidence as Defendant's Exhibit 1.
Any objections to Defendant 1?
No objection.
So
okay. Trying to think if I'm leaving anything out. Is there anything else that you would like to raise to the attention of the court that we haven't discussed yet?
I think there was with our relationship.
Can you stop screen sharing?
I'm so sorry. There it goes.
Yeah, I think that the notion that I didn't pay anything is really hurtful. I don't really care too much about resources that are good resources to support the household. But I always basically said yes until certain things that I was thinking that could happen that we would have to save money. But early on in the relationship, we expanded the driveway. We put up a fence. We do in all of these particular types of things on it. And then I get this bladder cancer episode, and it was tough. And I'm still going to counseling to really deal with that, but at the same time trying to deal with that because that's a life-threatening situation. And the support that I got was some support, but as I indicated, I went under anesthesiology by myself. I don't have family here to do that. And I had to get an outside firm to support me in that. And I spent 3 days in the hospital in Gwinnett County by myself when they're trying to figure out why I was still having episodes, and it just happened to be a bladder infection, which I really got over that. So I'm blessed. So, but I want the court to understand there was love there. There was frustration on my part because I'm failing from a health standpoint, but my health is back. I'm good. Our communication was not good, but you know, it's you know, I do remember when I had to leave. I'm sick, but telling me that she had sex with someone else, and then coming back and saying, "No, I was just kidding." That's tormenting me while I'm in my state. And I'm just a human being, just like anybody else. I'm an emotional human being, an emotional creature, just like anybody else. That hurt me to my core. And I'm dealing with this too. It's not about money, it's about caring. And that's what I want the court to understand. This is not a guy that's coming around and trying to take advantage of anybody. My money that I put up states it unequivocally. The cancer, you can't do nothing about that. That's something that's an epidemic in the country. And I hope that if it was her that had cancer, she know I would take care of her.
And as far as the distribution of items and property, are you asking this court to order that you get back your personal papers, including your tax returns?
Yeah, you know, Tristan, I don't really even care about this stuff, but yes, I like to get my papers back, and I don't want my Social Security card or none of my financial information used for nothing. I'm getting close to my retirement age. I don't have no problems with it. These are just material things, and
Um,
that's all.
and there was talk about an armoire in the bedroom. Are you asking for that?
I would like to have that. That was something special that I wanted, um, because it is something that we discussed about it. She had her dresser. I wanted that, but you know, whatever she wants to keep, she can keep it. Because what I've learned is all this material stuff don't mean nothing. So if we can come together on it, if she says yes, is yes. I don't need that stuff.
And by that stuff, we're also talking about the HD TV, the dining
Yeah,
room set.
everything that we had on the list. So if
Uh,
she's willing to give it up, fine. If not, keep it.
Okay, and just to finish the list, so it was the HD TV, the dining room set, the African art piece, the music speaker with microphone, and one end table that matches the armoire.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And would you ask the court to order that the plaintiff pay for the repair to the GMC terrain that she had keyed?
Objection.
I would say no.
Objection. There's no evidence that my client keyed a vehicle.
I could put more of a foundation there.
Okay.
So the GMC terrain, is that your vehicle?
Oh, mine? Yes, it's my
Yeah.
vehicle.
Okay, and it was being stored in her garage, is that correct?
No, it was on the outside, on the side, on the garage, in the driveway.
In the driveway. Okay, and you had left the car there and to the best of your recollection, when you had left it there, what was the time frame that you had left it there where it did not have the key marks?
It was maybe about 6-7 months.
6-7 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when did you first notice the key marks on the car?
When I rotated off my deployment back home, I went to get my car. It's keyed up, and all of my clothes are just thrown in the car.
Got it. So roughly, are we talking about you would return maybe 2 months later?
No, I was out for an extended period of time. I was out totally. I would come back, but I was out for about 8 months supporting disasters in Florida, Indiana, and then Chicago too.
I see.
So
About 8 months. So
yeah,
you dropped it off at the house, and then 8 months later, you noticed that it had key marks on it.
when I came back in after my deployment, yes,
Got it. And it had all your clothes in it as well.
yes.
Understood. Very good. And would you ask this court to order that plaintiff pay for the repair to the paint there?
The car is no longer in my possession because it hadn't been started up.
Got
And
it.
when I did start it up, I had it towed. And when I did start it up, the engine blew because it hadn't been started up in 8
Right.
months.
I'm sorry. That was that car. Understood. No problem. No further questions at this time, Judge.
All right, Cross.
So, Mr. Calhoun, you do admit that you headbutted my client.
Yes,
And you do admit that you said that you are a stickler for saving money.
No, not a stickler for saving money, not having excessive money going outside of the account. So when you have that situation, you want to make sure that you have enough money for emergency situation. That's the stickler I'm talking about.
I'm using your words here. So when you said you're a stickler for saving, would that be true or not true?
I just explained that.
So is it true or not true?
It's not true.
Okay.
In your context, it's not true.
All right. So you indicated that you came down with the cancer. You asked her to withdraw the petition. Is that correct?
No, she came to me. No, I asked her to stop there was a meeting that was coming up that we all had to go to court. And I say, if you want this thing to go away, talk to you and get it off the calendar.
And that was the final hearing for your prior divorce. Isn't that correct?
I don't know about the final hearing. No, we hadn't even started the hearing.
When the previous divorce was filed, it was withdrawn by my client. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Now, you came down with cancer in 2020 based on your testimony earlier, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's what I remember.
So from 2018, when you all got married up to 2020, you all never had sex.
We had sex the first night, and that was it. And what I've dealt with is that when you get bladder cancer, there is a pre-stage that changes your whole system.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm finished.
Isn't it a fact that you knew that you were impotent based on your medical records prior to marrying my client?
No. Impotency. I don't have impotency. I do not have impotency. I had with high blood pressure and those type of things on that report. That was back in, I'm not sure what year that was, but the doctor said I was impotent because I gave him information that I was maybe having trouble with an erection. So he just classified that as that. And then all of the pre-existing conditions, they just say you impotent. But I wasn't impotent.
It was in your medical records, correct? From 2011, the ones that were introduced as plaintiffs number 5, that were provided to you and your attorney, correct?
Right. The one that she went through and found.
Right. And in those medical records, it indicates that you are impotent.
Impotent is not a destination. It is a process going back and forth. Sometimes you can be impotent, sometimes you don't. I know that by experience.
Okay. But you didn't discuss any of that with Ms. Lomax prior to marrying her.
I am an open book. We did discuss it.
So is your testimony that you did discuss it? When did you discuss it?
I don't know when exactly that we discussed it, but all my medical records were open. I discussed this with her as to the preconditions that I have. I'm on high blood pressure medication, that kind of stuff. And so that type of openness I gave her that type of openness. Now I didn't get that back because I didn't know what was going on with her, but I gave that information because that's what she deserves to have as your spouse. And she's on every one of my records. When she wants to get records, she is the person that can pull every record. My God, she's a nurse. So I want that.
So you told her that you were going to fight her getting a divorce. Isn't that true?
No, I don't remember saying I was going to fight her. I don't let anybody that wants to leave me can leave. Okay.
So you never told her you got a fight on your hands if you're going to try to divorce me?
No, you got a fight on your hands if you're going to think that I'm going to be trying to pay even more money to you based on what has been taken. That's the fight. It has nothing to do with no divorce. It has to do with, I'm not going to allow you to sit back and take my net worth. And then now the divorce, anybody can divorce. If you don't want me, fine. I'm good with that. It might hurt, but I'm good.
Now, on your spreadsheet that you were presenting to the court earlier, you have payments on there of $313 from CarMax that you're alleging that my client took. Isn't it a fact that you have a brand new car that you bought from CarMax?
Sure. Yes. Because the car that I had that was keyed up was not being started and it blew the engine. So I got to buy a new car. I got to go to work.
And that $313 that you're saying was money that she supposedly took out of your account.
No,
without your authorization.
I don't think I have a $313 that she took out. No, I took that out For if it's $313, that's me. That's not her.
Okay. So for 2 years, you paid no rent when you all first got married.
There is
Isn't
no
that correct?
rent. There is no rent to pay.
Well, if there was no rent to pay, you never gave her anything towards any bills for that whole 2-year period because you didn't have a job.
Absolutely not. It's in the records. Look at the transactions. All of those transactions tells you, if you read it, that that money that I have, that my money that I have went to her to pay that.
Mr. Calhoun, when you married my client, you were unemployed. Isn't that correct?
That don't mean I didn't have money.
That's a yes or no question, sir. Yes or no?
No, I wasn't. I was still working when I met her.
So after you married her, you were unemployed. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And how long were you unemployed for?
Maybe 3-4 months. It doesn't mean I don't have money.
So this 3730 account that only you had the ability to go into because my client had no ability to go into that account. Is it your testimony that she took monies out of this account?
Absolutely. You can see it right on the transactions.
But you don't deny that you took monies from the account and opened up the 3730.
I took monies from those accounts to open up the 3730 to stop. If not, it would have been nothing in there.
Okay. But you said that she was taking this money in 2023, but the account was closed in 2020.
I don't know what you're saying there.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor, at this time.
Mr. Gillespie, do you have any redirect?
No, Judge.
Mr. Calhoun, your position is that Mr. Webb asked you, did you get the medical records and were you impotent before the marriage? Your response was absolutely not.
Right.
So how are you telling her that you're impotent before the marriage if you're claiming that you were not impotent?
I didn't tell her I was impotent.
Well, how was she to know that this was going to be a sexless marriage?
It's sexless because I have cancer coming.
But you had cancer in 20. Mr. Calhoun.
Yes.
So I've been doing this for 16 years. Okay. And you married her in 2018 and you've never had sex. I understand you could have a medical issue, but you've been very adamant that you did not have a medical issue. You either have a medical issue or you don't.
I think it's the timing. When I married her, I didn't have a.
It's not the timing because it's very clear. I asked you, your position is that you were not impotent. And then the moment you got married, you became impotent? No,
the cancer, I had preconditioned activities that were happening right after that in that year. So
what did you tell her before you got married so that she was aware of your medical condition?
I didn't tell her anything. Everything was normal.
Well, that's what he was asking you. And you said we discussed it. We very much discussed it. She was very much aware of my medical history. She was very aware of these issues.
The medical history of me having maybe high blood pressure, not anything to do with cancer, because it wasn't present.
In 2018, the next day after your wedding, when you realized you could not have sex with your wife, the first week or the second week or the first month, the fourth month, the fifth month, at what point did you have a discussion with your wife to say, it is not because I don't feel attracted to you. It is because I have a medical issue where I cannot have sex with you?
I was working that
conversation.
I don't remember that conversation. We did not have that conversation.
So you have your wife believing that you're not intimate with her and she has absolutely no reason to understand why.
Yes, she has a reason to understand why, but she wasn't intimate with me either. So the issue is it takes two to be intimate.
Mr. Calhoun, please don't. Your position is that you didn't have sex with your wife because she didn't want to have sex with you. Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm saying because of my cancer and the way that I was feeling.
That happened in 2022. I'm asking about the first week of your marriage. I'm going to the first week. When you realized you could not have sex with your wife.
No, we had sex. We had sex that night.
the next day.
We
I'm
didn't
sorry.
have sex.
When did you get married? You got married August 18th. I'm
Yes.
going to start August 20th. August 20th, when you realized you could not have sex with your wife, when did you have a conversation with her to tell her, I cannot have sex with you because I have a medical issue? When did you have that conversation?
When I went to get checked out and I went to my doctor and talked to my doctor.
When was that?
Maybe 2 months after that. And then I said, something is wrong. Something is wrong. I don't know what that is. I got to go and get checked out.
So your position is when she was trying to have sex and saying that you told her she should be more obedient, those things were not true. You were not giving her advice because you knew you could not have sex with her. Were you telling her what to do? The things that she indicated, you told her to come into the bedroom, you told her to cut off the TV, you told her to be more obedient. Those things that you were giving her advice on, did you say those things to her?
Yes, I did.
Why did you say those things to her when you realized it had nothing to do with her?
To try to see if anything could happen.
So letting her think it was her issue was how you
it's my issue. It was my issue because I had a problem with my system.
No, what I'm saying is, but that's not what you told her. What she testified to was that the reason why you didn't have sex with her was because she wasn't obedient. And did you tell her?
No, obedience. She's not the kind of woman that's going to deal with somebody telling her to do this and I'm telling her don't be obedient. No, I'm not that kind of guy. No, absolutely not. I'm not being painted.
What were you telling her that she needed to do in order to help you with your impotency?
Come to the doctor with me so we can work this out.
Coming to the doctor with you would do?
Try to figure out what the problem is.
So you told her that there was a problem, and she's saying you never said it to her, but your position is she was very well aware.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Just closing, Judge.
All right. Let's do closings.
Your Honor, as the evidence has indicated, my client was married in 2018, August the 18th of 2018. No sex transpired between the parties, even with the testimony of the defendant, up until 2020. So for a whole 2 years, nothing transpired. The testimony that has gone forth in this particular proceeding is that he was the one who asked her, and based on his own testimony, he asked her to withdraw the petition for the divorce, knowing that there was not going to be any sex or anything going on between them. Now, as we requested earlier during our opening, we're requesting the attorney's fees for the first and the second event because he was the one who caused my client to withdraw the first petition, and then she had to file the second petition because the relationship was not working, and he still had not told her about this impotency until she found those medical records, and it confirmed why the things were not going on in the bedroom.
Before you continue, I'm gonna call you recall Ms. Lomax. Ms. Lomax, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony about to give the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Calhoun indicated that he had spoken with you and had told you about his medical issues. Did he talk to you about medical issues that could be related to his inability to have sex?
No, not at all.
So he never talked about high blood pressure, never told you about some of those other, any medical issue that he was dealing with?
No, he just told me I knew he was on, I think it was metoprolol. Being a nurse, I know what that's for, high blood pressure, but as far as his diagnoses of anything, no, he never told me anything about that.
Did you ever suggest to him or maybe think to say to him, you know, there might be something wrong with him medically? Did it ever come to your brain, like you said to yourself, this could be medical? Did you ever think that?
No, my thought was if he was on down low, not medical issues. I thought it was possible to down low because my thing was, I would come out of the shower naked and he wouldn't even look. Or I would be in the bed with him partially naked and he wouldn't do anything. So I was like, well, maybe, you know, now I'm finding some things out that I didn't know in the beginning. So that's why I said, are you watching porn? No, but I saw for myself that he was.
Okay, so the only time you understood there was a medical issue, you're saying, is when you got those papers?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You continue your closing, Mr. Webb.
And during the time that this particular divorce was going on, you've heard evidence from the defendant who indicated that he had been unemployed being unemployed, not contributing to the household. And my client became frustrated because of this, not being paying any bills and having to foot all of the things in this particular household on her own. During the marriage, we've heard testimony about vehicles being transferred and things of that nature, but it was clear because Mr. Calhoun indicated that he took the vehicle, the GMC Terrain, back from my client. My client had a vehicle. She purchased a new vehicle, a Toyota. You heard testimony from her that indicated that she needed to get her own vehicle because of the going back and forth between them. Now, the testimony that came out during the course of the hearing about the monies that were taken out of the account, Mr. Calhoun clearly says, "I'm a stickler for savings." Those were his words. And we know that he took out over $14,000. Matter of fact, based on the exhibit number 6, we know that that amount was $17,506 that he transferred from the 9814 account and then opened the 3730, where he would only have access to that particular account. And that was done in 2020. This spreadsheet that was presented on by the defense indicated that these monies were being taken out in 2023. These monies that were being taken out in 2023 were clearly, he said himself, "I have a vehicle from CarMax." On the bottom of that document, you see a amount of $313, which represents his car payment. But yet he presents to this court that these are monies that my client is taking out against his account that he only has access to. It was incredulous when I heard it during the course of our discussions in this case from opposing counsel, and it's incredulous today to believe that my client withdrew all these monies because no monies were being given to her. She's had to foot her bill for the time period that she's been married to this man. He's been nothing but a person who has taken advantage of her. He hasn't provided sex to her, and the things that he did provide were things that they were done to assist him while he was there at the house. If we're talking about the extension of the driveway, well, that was done because he wanted his vehicle off of the street. That was why that extension of the driveway was done. Now, we would ask the court, based on the evidence that's been presented here in this case today, to grant my client a total divorce from Mr. Calhoun. We're also asking the court to grant her attorney's fees that she's had to expend to get out of this marriage in the amount of $7,000. And we're asking for half of the funds that were taken out of the account in the amount of $17,506 divided by $8,253 to be granted to her from this particular divorce.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Sure, thanks, Judge. With regard to the attorney's fees, you heard testimony that both of the divorces cost Ms. Lomax $3,500 each. You heard that she voluntarily withdrew that first divorce case. There's nothing on the record indicating that Mr. Calhoun asked her to withdraw that divorce. So we certainly reject that, and we ask that each party be responsible for shouldering their own attorney's fees. We saw direct evidence that Ms. Lomax withdrew $6,742 from Mr. Calhoun's savings account. In fact, it had her name associated with those transactions, so I don't understand where there's any ambiguity on that. And that was very recent. That we were only highlighting the withdrawals from August of 2023 to November of 2023, when this divorce action was very much still happening. Likewise,
Mr. Gillespie, give me 1 second, please.
So I mentioned the savings account and the $7,342. Actually, that got corrected to $6,742. That was withdrawn from the joint checking account, to which Ms. Lomax testified she had only contributed $300 to that account during the term of the marriage. That $6,700 that was withdrawn by her was withdrawn again during from August of 2023 till November of 2023, very much during the term of this divorce. Another thing to keep in mind is, if this court is inclined to penalize Mr. Calhoun for any alleged impotency, it's important to realize that any penalty should be tempered by the fact that these parties were only married for 4 years before they separated. There's evidence and ample evidence on the testimony in the record showing that Mr. Calhoun paid most, if not all, of the bills during the term of the marriage, and a healthy portion of the improvements made to the home. some of which included repairs to the roof, down payment for her car, repair to a fence, decking, a bedroom suite, alarm system. If you add and the driveway, if you add all those things up, Judge, that was $17,000. He testified that he loved her, and you know, what's interesting is the case law relating to impotency in Georgia. I know opposing counsel proposed the case of Loveless versus Loveless as support for these arguments. I did my own research, and in fact, Loveless is pretty much the only case law in Georgia on this topic. This is a very obscure area of the law that we're dealing with here. I can summarize it briefly, Judge. So this is a 1934 case. The wife wanted the divorce. Husband said he didn't want the divorce. The husband tried to get the first complaint for divorce dismissed because she neglected to include the details about whether the parties had been living in Georgia for the last, they said 12 months. I think it had changed. Obviously now it's 6 months, but I think back then it was 12 months. And one of the causes of action she asserted was impotence, but it went into no detail whatsoever about what role that had. Obviously here in Georgia, there's what is it, 8 grounds for divorce? I'm forgetting, for 11, something like that. And impotence certainly is one, but again, this is this 1934 case that really only speaks to it. And in that case, it said nothing about any of the details about it or what role that impotency applied in the divorce. Obviously now you know that any party that wants a divorce in Georgia can get it just through irreconcilable differences. You don't actually need to.
Really isn't with the impotency. I understand that you could have medical impotency. That's not my issue. My issue is with the being forthright.
I get it. No, trust me, Judge. I understand that, and that's
so I'm not focused on the impotency. You got a medical issue. You got a medical issue. That comes with a marriage, and you live through those circumstances. That's not my issue. My issue is with being told and what she was told, and that is the cruelty that she's presenting, and that is what the concerns that the court has. But I was interested in the case just because she presented it. All right, you may continue.
Yeah. I mean, and one of the interesting parts of that case too, which has nothing to do with this case, of course, is that the defendant, the husband, said, "I never consented to this divorce," and the court ruled that the court said, "Yeah, but your attorney said it was okay," and so they let the ruling stand that in fact the parties were divorced. That kind of just has nothing to do with this case at all. But it's a little interesting, but the fact that it referenced impotence was the only thing I think that made that case unique and helpful in this case. And what was interesting is that she got, from my reading of the case, she got no benefit from the impotency. It was just a grounds for divorce that she could rely on for seeking the divorce. And we're not contesting the divorce. We think the divorce should go through, but in no way was, for example, in that Loveless case, was the wife awarded her attorney's fees based on that factor. And that's what we're asking to happen here, is that each party pay for their own attorney's fees. So that's it, Judge. We just ask that the parties pay their own attorney's fees, that they be granted a total divorce, that there is no division of financial assets, and that he be allowed to take the alarm system that he's been paying for, because he is in a contract to continue that service fee, so that he would have no ability to stop paying that service fee because he's under contract for it. Thank you.
We can't hear, Your Honor. You're on mute.
I apologize. Can you put up that bank account where you said that she took money out of his account? It was in 2023.
Absolutely.
Share it for me.
This is it. Yeah, this is the savings account, and this is there you go.
All right, thank you.
And Judge, if I could, Mr. Calhoun did say we have to delete this line here. If I may,
I think he said both of them. They're both gone to Richard Calhoun. The first 600 and the 7,600 goes there. But so you said that was 6. That's 2. That's 3, 4, 4,600. The one that had Virginia Lomax on it. One is for 2,000. One is for 1,500. And one is for 1,100. The other one has an insurance, Amica Mutual Insurance, and the other two has his name on them.
And I believe the testimony was that insurance, that Amica insurance was in fact a payment that she had initiated. But if you want Rich to,
yeah, I get that, but you know, okay, that's a burden of proof issue. But that Virginia Lomax is a little bit different. All right, thank you so much. So the court will of course grant the divorce. I'll grant the divorce on cruel treatment. I also will grant the divorce that the marriage is irretrievably broken. I think I am, of course. Can you stop screen share?
Of course. Sorry about that.
Anybody when the screen share, the way my system is set up. I can't hide my disbelief with regard to the measure of the case, but or the facts that are involved in the case. But I do find it very difficult to believe some of the statements that Mr. Calhoun is making about his medical condition. I think Miss Lomax found a medical condition indicating he was impotent and that he was aware that he could have some of these concerns before he married. And I think he owed that to her, to let her know that he had some issues that the doctors at least believe, if he wasn't having them then, but that he would likely have them if they're connected to his medical condition. I mean, even Mr. Calhoun understood he had high blood pressure and that he understood that could be an effect or a symptom. And he owed it to her to tell her that before he married her, that they could have they would be married, and there's a potential he could not have any sexual relationship with her. He owed that pre-information. But when he was in the marriage, he absolutely owed her to tell her, I cannot have sex with you, not because I'm not attracted to you. I cannot have sex with you, not because I don't love you. I can't have sex with you because I have a medical condition. Have her believe that she was doing things to try to get him interested, trying to figure out what's wrong with him, concerning and causing her angst. It's unfair. It's unbelievable. And I do find it to be cruel treatment. I think Mr. Calhoun needed to be fair, and he wasn't there. And I don't think she should have to guess to determine what's going on with the marriage. 4 years in the circumstances like that, that's unbelievable. Now, I do understand that after the cancer scare, that there's at that point, you have the bladder issue, you have things going on. I think everyone understands that sex may not be happening during that time frame. She decided to stay with him after the medical issues, thinking things were going to get better because that's what he was telling her. And then she falls back into the same situation again. So I think that Mr. Calhoun, you need to be truthful. And I don't believe that Miss Lomax went into a marriage with you recognizing that there would be no sex. And I don't think it's fair for you to assume that she understood it just because she was saying. And it's not right. It's not fair. And you really, frankly, owe her an apology for not being upfront and frank. So as a result of that, the court will grant the divorce on the grounds that the marriage is irretrievably broken and cruel treatment. With regard to the attorney's fees, the court will grant the $7,000 in attorney's fees. I think the first time she was ready to divorce, he indicated that he did not want to divorce her, and he asked for her to withdraw the divorce, and because he was sick. Now, she indicated that half of that was because she was sick and it was her marital vows and she wanted to do it. This is not a penalty with regard to the $7,000 in medical, in the attorney's fees, more so as it is considering 9662, considering the marital income. He makes 2/3 of what she makes. And so considering that in and of itself, a large part of these attorney's fees would be his because he makes significantly more than he does. It was P4, the things in P4, he can get those items back. Excuse me. Excuse me, I apologize.
Bless you.
I apologize. Something's got me sneezing over here. So he can go and get P4, those items with P4 back. I'll give him 20 days to do that. And so you can come up with a way to try to handle that issue. So with regard to the $17,000 that was moved, Miss Lomax indicated that $3,000 of that was hers when she moved it. I'm not even considering specifically what's his and what's hers. I did that on a pro rata basis. So the pro rata of that would be $5,666. I'm giving equitably dividing for her. And that's on a 1/3, 2/3 basis. The alarm system, to the extent Advent is actually moving the items, like they actually move equipment from one place to the other, then he can get it. But if I don't want him to physically come or think someone else is going to come and take those items and put them someplace else. But to the extent that he can move the items without causing any damage to her home to another place, then they can come and move it. Otherwise, he has to finish paying for the actual equipment, but he doesn't have to pay the monthly monitoring. He can stop that. Okay. Otherwise, if let's say Advent says, no, we don't come move equipment, if they said that, then he would still be responsible for the paying for the equipment. But to the extent that they said, we'll come get it and we'll take it to your other house, then they can't come get the item. All accounts that are in their names remain in their names. All cars that are currently in their names remain in their names. All debts that is currently in their name remains theirs. Did I miss anything?
Marital residence, Your Honor.
Oh, the marital residence remains hers. To the extent that there was to be any equitably divided based on the cruel treatment, it's hers. That's the order of the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Should I prepare a final order?
If you prepare the order for the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. When will you want that order submitted?
That's a good question. Mr. Webb, when can you have that to me?
I'll get it to you later today.
All right. Thank you so much. Y'all are free to. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one question. Is it your position, Ms. Lomax, that the marriage is irretrievably broken?
Yes, it is.
No hope for reconciliation?
No.
And Mr. Calhoun, is it your position that marriage is irretrievably broken?
Yes.
With no reconciliation?
Yes.
All right. That covers the second ground. Thank you so much. Y'all are free to leave.
Thank you.